This is Kathy Laidlaw with GiveTeens20, and I am here with Ruthie Bolton. Ruthie is a two-time Olympic gold medalist, and she played basketball in the 1996 and 2000 Olympics, and she is one of the scrappiest women I know.
Hey, that's what I do.
So we brought Ruthie on board with us to, what we basically want to do is we want to encourage teens and help teens to kind of figure out some ways to get through this crazy COVID crap. And we want to give you some encouragement for the future and some hope and some inspiration and a little bit of motivation. So Ruthie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first? Let's get started that way.
First, thank you all. Thank you, Kathy, for having me. It's been, seems like we've been joined at the hip ever since we met. I feel like it's been 20 years ago, but it was probably just a couple of years ago. But I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. And I'm beyond excited to be a part of what you do. It's positive. And from the moment I heard about what you're doing, I got excited about it. But I'm a country girl, Mississippi girl, raised up in a small town, McLean, Mississippi. I'm from a very modest family of 12 girls and 8 boys. And as you see, I got a few muscles, but my muscles came from trying to get to the dinner table when it's time to eat. If there are 8 chairs at the dinner table, there's 20 kids trying to run for it. Hey, you better get there first or you may miss out on dinner. So just being from a big family, I'm a PK kid. PK means preacher's kid. My dad raised us in a very structural faith family atmosphere. And he taught us a lot. 3 things I want to share that he taught us about: faith, attitude, and hard work. Those are very simple things: faith, attitude, and hard work. He said those things are something you carry in your pocket every day. You carry with you around your neck. Those things that it doesn't matter the color of your skin, what size you are, how much money you got, it does not matter. Those 3 things can be your roadmap, could be your compass to life. And sure enough, they have been. I was blessed to get the opportunity to play the Division I basketball when I was told no at every angle. From Division I basketball, I played at Auburn University for 4 years, and from there, I wanted to play for the national team, and I didn't get invited to play, so I wanted to play, so I had to pay my own way to go. And I remember my dad saying, "Hey, daughter, listen." And he would call me daughter most of the time because he couldn't remember my name because of 12 girls and 8 boys. So he said, "Daughter," he said, "listen, your attitude will determine your aptitude." He said, "Don't give your power away." He said, "You got this." He said, "Don't ever live a life of resentment." He said, "So don't be afraid to fail." He just gave me all these little nuggets. And I said, "Okay, Dad." And he said, go to the trials. If you don't make one basket, at least you went. Fear didn't keep you there. Didn't keep you from going, because there's always something on the other side of fear, and that's faith. And so after college, I went to the national trials, my own way to go. And sure enough, I made one of the top 2 teams out of 175 girls. And that really started, my career started to evolve really then, because I was starting to become a firm believer that faith, attitude, and hard work would pay off. So beyond after that, I started to play professional basketball. So my career evolved from one thing after the other. And I'm so thankful. I love every moment I play basketball. It is something that I learned a lot about myself. And then also too, I'm gonna go back a little bit. While I was in college, I went to ROTC, and which in the Army, first lieutenant in the Army, and that was something I did following after my sister. But the Army taught me a lot too. So I came from a very structured home. Then I went to the military. Then I played for a very structured coach for the Olympics. So in my life, I've been in a situation where I had to be coachable. I had to be a great teammate, and that's what being from a family of 20 teaches you. That's what, being, military teaches you, and then being on the national team, on the Olympic team that's trying to win the gold for your country. So I'm thankful that all the things I've done in basketball, but even more so, being able to use what I've done, been able to use my platform to really share to young people and let them know that I'm not the only Olympian. I'm not the only one that can overcome obstacles. I'm not the only one that can get over that fence. I'm not the only one that can persevere. I want them to know, and I want you all to know too, that you there. I'm looking at champions. I'm looking at superstars. I'm looking at leaders and doctors and lawyers and people, whatever you want to achieve. And that's what I want my experience and my basketball experience to be a platform for. Because, Kathy, it doesn't mean anything. My medals, these things around my neck, which is these are medals from being part of the reservations that I go and do things with. But all these accolades mean nothing if I can't encourage some young girl to not drop out of school. If I can't encourage some young boy to not get on drugs or to stop using drugs. That's what it's all about. It's about paying it forward. It's about being able to be someone that can really help impact and help direct these young people, because that's what's important to me. That is the biggest three-point play you can ever make. And trust me, in basketball, I love shooting. I love playing defense. I love everything about it. But the biggest three-point play is being able to use the gift that I've been given to help impact someone else. And there's a quote that I love and I repeat quite often, is that to the world, you might be one person, but to one person, you could be absolutely the world. And that's something that just fuels me every time. I maybe get tired, feel like, man, do I, sometimes even get exhausted, but I always remind myself, or God remind me of just what I've done and what he's done for me and how he spared me. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have done the things I've done just on my gifts, on my talent. So I know that Jesus, and I know that the Lord has ordered, he's ordered my footsteps and given me a space to be a great basketball player, but even more so impact our next generation.
Thank you. I really appreciate your work and having you come into the classroom with GiveTeens20 and with me. I mean, I've seen the impact that you do have on today's teens, and you give them hope, excuse me, and kind of some motivation. So what do you say to the teen who doesn't have the structure that you had in your home, in your basketball, being in the military? What do you say to that teen who has to basically bring all that structure themselves because they live in a chaotic environment?
Well, and it's interesting you asked that question, because I know it from the sound of it. I grew up in a very structured home, mom and dad, and very disciplined. But I just feel like there's somebody out there for everybody. And if you don't have a mother like I had, if you don't have a father like I had, or even siblings, there is somebody. There's a coach, there's a teacher, there is somebody that I believe that is designed for you to meet. It's designed for you to encounter. It could be, like I said, it could be a coach, it could be someone, it could just be a friend's mom, it could be an auntie. There's no lone rangers in this world, no lone rangers in the Bible. There is somebody for everybody. And I just believe that. Just keep yourself open. Allow access to you. And I say that in a way where I know it's tough if you're dealing with some things and you feel like you don't even like who you see when you look in the mirror. I've been there. Even though I talked about the things that I've been successful at, there's been times I've been discouraged. There have been times I felt like, why me? But my father was there to speak these words of wisdom to me, telling me to aim high, telling me to keep a positive mental attitude, telling me that it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay that don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to come up short. And so know that you don't have to try to live. You don't have to try to be perfect. You don't have to worry about, you just be who you are and allow people in your life to help guide and direct you. And we're all about trial and error. I'm 53 years old, and I know I still don't quite have it all right. I'm in process, and I can admit that I want to grow, and that's why I became the basketball player that I did, because I can watch those films, those games where I play horrible defense, those games where I shot bad, and I learn from those things. So I really want everyone to know that if you don't have the structured family like I have, there is somebody out there to help you. There's a lot of organizations that can help you find the passion, help you know why you exist. Because guess what? There's nobody in the world have your set of fingerprints. There's nobody. I have a twin brother, and even we don't have the same set of fingerprints. And thank God we don't look alike. I know he probably won't like me saying that, but you have your own set of fingerprints. So you were uniquely designed by the Lord. Know that you are special, you are unique, and that you matter. In spite of what people have said about you, all these different labels, that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you'll never make it. you don't have to wear those labels, because there is something inside of you that is greater than greater than yourself. So I'm here to remind you to just tap into that, tap into your greatness, tap into the best version of you. That's the only thing anybody can ever ask of. How can I be the best version of me? How can I be the best version of Ruthie? Every day I am. I got up this morning, went to work out at 5:15. I have my gold medals. You know, I've done a lot of things, but I want to get better. I want to get a better me. I hold myself accountable to a lot of things in life. I always want to grow and be better. And I don't want friends that's not going to tell me the truth. I want people that going to say, Ruthie, oh, you need to do this. Oh, okay, I can learn from my kids. 8 and 11 years old, I learn from my kids. Sometimes they, they'll correct, some things. And I'm like, okay, thank you very much. So I just want you to know you are not alone. There's somebody out there, and you got me. Like I'm in this thing for the long haul. So anytime I go to a school or go to a youth, organization, I really sincerely mean that I'm here for anyone out there through telephone call, email, because I'm in this for real, because I do care about you. And so I want you to know that you're not alone.
So what was your biggest motivator as a child? Because obviously you are very motivated and have a lot of drive. What helped you get to that?
Well, what helped me get to that was really, it's being from a big family. And we always had someone to play with, to, have challenges with. Jumping fences was a sport. Climbing trees the fastest was a sport. We would even create a sport where jumping over a puddle of water, who could do it the fastest. And I was always, competition just did something for me. And, I wasn't worried about, what if I lose? I always felt good. Like, what, I just had this mentality of just competing, and it was so rewarding to me. And it was something that really drove me and pushed me. And I was a quiet person growing up. I was a quiet girl. I was sort of very passive and a little bit unsure of myself at times, but what really kept me going, I was strong. Like I said, I was stronger than my twin brother. I was like, hey, so it gave me this confidence, this inner confidence that, oh, I can do this. So being able to find that inner drive, and I'm gonna have to share this story, something that really, I think, really was a birth of me as an individual. It was truly the foundation who I eventually became. It embodies everything that I have done in the last 25, 30 years. We would jump fences as a sport. And like I said, when I woke up, I was headed outside. I didn't want anything about cooking. I didn't care anything about folding clothes. I did it because we had chores to do, but it was like, oh, I got to fold these clothes up. This is girly stuff. I want to get out there with. I want to do the tough stuff. This is too easy. This don't challenge me enough. Folding up a little towel. It's like, I wanted something that challenged me, that made me think. And so we would jump fences, and this one particular day, as I got ready to jump this fence that I had jumped many times before, as I started to run, and as I got to this fence seemed like it was taller than it was before. And fear sort of set in. And so I walked back to where I started, and then I said, I got this. And I proceeded to start running. I proceeded to run again, get to the fence, and it seemed like it got even taller. And I'm thinking, like, I know I've done this before. It seemed like this fence is getting taller and taller. So I'm gonna try it again. I spent about 10 minutes trying to jump that fence. And the fear just kept getting thicker and thicker. I couldn't believe the moment I was experiencing. And at that time, my siblings, cousins were telling me to come on. They were motioning me to come on. We know you can jump it. Don't worry about it. I said, no, I know I can do it. I stayed there and pondered with that fence too long. The street light came on, which means that we had to be inside. So I had to go inside and go to bed, not having jumped that fence. That was like one of the toughest night of my life, because I felt so unaccomplished. I was like, what is going on with me? I know I can jump that fence. So I thought about it. I said, you know what? Don't see the obstacles. Don't see the fence. See beyond the fence. You got to jump as you've done before. You got to see yourself celebrating. You got to see yourself getting over that obstacle. Don't let that obstacle get in the way where it just camouflages the victory. You defeat yourself already when you see too much of the obstacles and don't see yourself on the other side. So I said, I know I can do it. The next morning, I said, all you got to do, you've done it before, relax, go back to the basics. And I remember taking a deep breath, took a deep breath, and I proceeded to run, and get to the fence. And I just put everything I had in that jump, leap over the fence. I didn't quite land on my feet, but I landed, and I was celebrated on my back like I did it. Kathy, that moment meant so much to me. Listen, there was no cameras there. ESPN wasn't there. The Olympic Committee wasn't there. The Hall of Fame Committee wasn't there. News reporter wasn't there. Why was that moment important? I asked myself, and at the time I didn't even quite know. But as I look back, being about 14 years old, I believe that was a moment I started embracing my Olympic journey. That's the moment I started becoming who I eventually became. Someone that I tapped into that inner drive. It wasn't peer pressure that made me do it. It wasn't the campus. It wasn't the money, but it was something important. It was something unique, significant about that moment. And that moment, I didn't know it at the time. I just knew that I just wanted to do it. And I couldn't really paint the picture at the time. I just knew the passion inside of me. But I look back and that was something that meant a lot to me. And I think that's the moment that I started becoming an Olympic basketball player. That's the moment I started becoming a Hall of Famer. And so that drive continues to go with me, and it keep reminding me that, hey, you know what? Don't let your fears, there's faith beyond fears. Don't let your fears keep you from pursuing your dreams, and don't let your fears paralyze you or handcuff you so that you can't become the best version of yourself. And had I not done that, I know I wouldn't have been an Olympian, because I would have been afraid. Fear would have just I would have been wearing fear around my neck, saying, oh, I can't do it. And then anytime I came up on an obstacle, it would have been easy to give up and quit. And so I believe that is the moment that really started to shape my inner self with that fence story.
Well, then that's a really good reminder for teens to not quit, to not give up. And even when people are telling you, don't even waste your time, don't bother, you're never going to succeed, you're never going to do this, you're never going to do that, don't believe them, to just continue to push. And things happen to people who don't give up. So turning a little bit of a corner, what was your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject in school was English. And I actually, just a note, my elementary teacher was one of my older sisters. And she said I was the first one to read in my class. I said, me? And so, she said I was a really good student. I was quiet. I was a great leader. But even in high school, English was my favorite subject. English and literature. I always loved analyzing. Like they'll give us a poem or give us something. What is this poem trying to say? What is the author trying to say? And I always was very intrigued with trying to become that author and trying to see on the other side, like, what was the picture that they were trying to paint? And so it's something that made me think, and it's something that gave me a visual. I have a visualization almost to a fault. When I'm talking to some of my friends, they said, Ruthie, stop visualizing. Just answer my question. I'm always just thinking, I'm like, okay, I got it. And I visualized it. I was a person that laughed a lot. And so if I visualize something, I have a delay. And they was like, and I would just laugh. Even as a kid, I would get, sometimes my sister would tell me that sometimes in serious meetings, I would just laugh because I would just visualize some things and I would just laugh, just delay would laugh. He said, well, I guess she's a happy kid. But definitely English and literature was classes and subjects that I really thrived in and that I enjoyed learning. I enjoy learning about English and about literature. And who would ever imagine that this little country girl with a tie on, with a Harvard Jerry curl throughout her whole life would ever learn another language? I speak Italian, going overseas and with my own family, like, you speak Italian, you apparently can speak English. I say, well, I know how to broaden my territory when I need to, But yeah, so English and literature. English/literature, you said one.
Absolutely, that works. So if basketball hadn't been in the mix, what career do you think you would have chosen?
Wow. Excuse me. I got to edit that. Ask me that again.
Okay. If basketball hadn't been in the picture, what career do you think you would have chosen?
I would have chose Amazing Grace. I probably would have been singing. I came from a singing family, and I would have been a background singer. I'm not really a lead singer, but I like to sing and harmonize. And I really like music because it really tells a story. It is a very unique way of communicating. It is a universal language. And so I probably would have sang, and then I think I would have probably been a nurse too. My mom would want me to be a nurse. One of the reasons I deterred from the reason I went a different route, because, my counselor at school told me to be a nurse and play basketball is very tough. And I guess they saw too I was gonna be a player. And I'm thinking like, who says my basketball going, it was interesting, but I think they saw something like she could be a pretty good basketball player, was going to take up a lot of her time. So I ended up not doing nursing, but my mom wanted me to be a nurse. I wanted to make her happy by being a nurse. So I went in health and wellness, somewhere in the body thing. Because my mom said, "You're so smart," because I was telling her about the thing about, diabetes and things that you shouldn't eat and things about high blood pressure. And that's just from what I learned in school. She said, "You should go ahead and be a nurse after that." And I was like, "Oh, maybe, but yeah, so I think I would have probably been a nurse, but definitely sing. And I still sing now, but I sing it for fun. I did a single called He Keep On Making a Way, and it's interesting. But I evolved as a singer too. I've never even it was like, what makes you say you don't really be a lead singer? And I said, in my family, I have unbelievable singers in my family. So if we did a family concert, I probably wouldn't lead the song. I would be a background singer. I probably would speak, but then I would be more of a background singer, which is okay. I love making other people sound good.
That's a good trait. So if there was one thing, looking back on your life, if there's one thing that you would have done differently, what's that?
One thing I would have done differently looking back on my life would be, that is a question that is asked to athletes a lot, to anybody. And I know it might sound bold for me, and but when I answer this question, I'm really being sincere. For its basketball, and I have to compartmentalize this question. For my sports career, I wouldn't change a thing. And I know that sounds good, but it really the truth. It really, I think about what if things had been so easy and I would have just woke up this superstar. I said, would I have had the same mindset? Would I still have that same hunger? Because sometimes when we really think we're good, it hinders us. It becomes our Achilles heel when we really think we made it. And so the fact that I feel like I always had to catch up really sharpened me, kept me in pursuit of something. There's a saying, you train like you number 2 and you play like you number 1. And so I was always in the pursuit of something. So that really, basketball-wise, I would want to stay hungry. I would want to always be the underdog. It always made me play better, made me work harder. Another area of my life I would do better. I would be more intentional about my finances. I feel like, you just sort of, and I've always been pretty frugal, but at times I probably would have been thinking more about maybe investing, looking long term. And I wish I had done a better job financially, to be honest. And I tell the area young people, I tell my nieces and said, please, it's like, keep your credit good. If you buy something that costs $10, if that's all you can afford, that's what you pay for. That's what you buy. Don't try to live with the Joneses. Don't try to live up to what people perception like. Keep your credit. My dad will always say that your credit, you got good credit. You're like, it is good credit is like cash. And so I feel like I wish I had done better financially, but I'm doing better now. I've learned from my mistakes and trying to really pick up the pieces and the thing about me, I think one of the reasons why I've learned a lot in life is that I don't mind admitting what my weaknesses are and what I need to grow. And as a basketball player that had to catch up, I would watch film over and over and just watch those other games and those things and just have to be. I don't. Constructive criticism just motivates me. It inspires me. I take it in a positive way. Okay, that's how I can get better. All right, that's down. So that's an area of my life financially where I'm trying to grow and get better, make better decisions, make wiser decisions. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I've made leaps and bounds.
You've made what? Leaps and bounds.
I have made leaps and bounds for my financial, at least making better decisions. So I'm gonna do a better job this other half of my life than I did first half, or as in in my financial decisions and things like that.
Yeah. And one of the things that you said that you like constructive criticism, I think that if teens would model that attitude, that they want to hear from people who are older and kind of who've been around, that would be super helpful, because I know that a lot of young people don't want to hear from older people. They're like, okay, boomer, or some of
I
the
know,
other
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah, yeah.
yeah, the kids say, they're like, I don't need you telling me what to do. And while I understand that, because sometimes people, especially who are older than you, can be a little boring, or have completely different thought process or whatever, but to be able to accept and at least listen to constructive criticism, I think is a really strong trait that people benefit from. So good for you for
Thank
liking
you.
that. Um, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about today's environment. And I kind of want to, we can talk just about teens generically, or we can address this for girls specifically. I'm going to kind of let you kind of go where you want with this. But today's environment is a little cuckoo. We don't know if school's going to be back in session in the fall. We don't know how kids are going to get an education. We don't know how parents are going to be able to work. There's just a lot of things that we don't know. What can you say to young people today about how they can make this crazy time work for them, how they can capitalize on maybe some new opportunities that all of this chaos is going to bring about?
Wow. Yes, it's a lot of chaos in the last 6 months. We would have never, like, who would have ever imagined what we would go through? Like, I don't think even making a movie and trying to make it so dramatic, they would have never have come, would have articulated that something like this will happen with the pandemic and then the riot. And I think during this time, it's so important to, one, I think exercise, keep your mind. During this time, you got to find some way to exercise. To me, it's crucial. It's crucial as eating, as having, you got to feed your body, and you got to, obviously, but you got to exercise. But two is that I think journaling, writing, you got to write during this time, really do some individual assessment. Like, and I know you don't, as young people, you don't have as much baggage as, as older people. I've done a lot during this time. I've done a lot of self-evaluate, self-assessment, thinking about things that I could do different, ways I can grow. Even during this pandemic, how can I come out this pandemic on the other side a better person? What can I learn? I had to do a lot of thinking. I have thought about the financial aspect of it, because I've lost a lot of appearances from this, which hurt me, like which some of my bad decisions financially got me in a situation like this, but I'm learning. And so I think for the young people out there, get a journal and write, start a storyboard. Like, what do I see myself? Where I've been, where do I want to see myself? And you ain't got to think so far ahead, in 5 years and in 10 years. And then if I do, what do I need to do now to get to do those things? You can get resources now, obviously being sort of somewhat on lockdown, do a lot of research, find out if somebody want to be, for example, an artist. And I see artists is sort of booming. It's like a lot of people drawing. My daughter draws, and it's like I was just in Minnesota. A lot of the mom and the daughter, they draw like amazing. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just can only do stick people. I don't, like I said, I think art is so amazing. But if that's something you want to do, reach out to people, try to find resources, like how, hear stories of people that have done art, see what it's like. Somebody will be, a piano player, a musician. Find out from resources and use this time to really try to tap into, like, I think things have slowed down. So let's do things that otherwise we wouldn't do. So this could be a positive thing, is that, what, during the pandemic, I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of thinking. Like, I really cleaned out my closet, really, like, not just, I cleaned the closet of my life and my mind, and I can see clear. I cleaned off my window, open the window. One of my friends said, every morning I get up, I do this assessment. Said, Lord, anything I fear, anything I resent, I take it away. He make this list of those things, and he write it down and he throw it away. He said, that's like cleaning off a window. He said, I dare not tackle this world, or even a day, without cleaning my window off and acknowledging who my, the God in my life. And I ain't trying to sound religious or whatever, something's bigger than you, but it's, it's my God and my Lord in my life. But definitely do an assessment of yourself, and it'll come from simple things as attitude, things that when you were in school, what kind of person was I in school? How can I be better in school? How can I be a better brother? How can I be a better sister? I wish I could show you the shirts my kids bought when we was in Minnesota, like number one mom, number one sister, number one brother. And so I sit and talk to my kids, they young, and I still say, hey, every day we have to be accountable for the best. And I said, hold each other accountable. I said, Hope and Christopher, y'all hold each other accountable. How can you be a better Hope? Christopher, how can you be a better Christopher? Getting them sort of thinking. So that's what I would tell some of the young people out there during this time, is that know that every day you wake up and you got a heartbeat and you're breathing, you got a chance, another chance to do it better. And find a little miracle in every day. It don't have to be something major descending from the sky or some crazy. I think miracles are so small. When you look at, if you take 100 people that what we call successful, I would say people that have made it and happy with who they are, having joy, I would bet you 90% of those people that said that it was a little thing that really propelled them into where they are, whether it's financial. I think sometimes you pursue just finance, if you pursue just money, you're not gonna. The world will swallow you up. You're gonna be empty. So it's about finding some substance. What is those solid substance that help you become a better version of yourself? So I would say do that soul assessment and writing. I love the journal. I have about 22 journals throughout the years that and when I write, it's so therapeutic. So I encourage you, and to even some young boys listening. I know journal, diary sort of sound girly, but just write on a piece of paper, like, whatever it is you want to do, and don't be ashamed, because you are the director of your movie, your life and your journey, and you are the director. The more you the one that hold the pen, you hold the pen to your, there are some things that's going to happen you can't control, but what you can control, let's do it during this time. Whatever we control, let's move towards doing that.
Yeah, that's great advice. You touched on a couple of different things that I want to go a little bit more into. And one was writing things down, making them real. There are people that I follow, James Altucher, he says, get up. The first thing you do is write down 10 things, 10 ideas about something. And then there's another young man that I follow. His name is Tai Lopez, T-A-I, and he is amazing. And he talks about having yellow notepads around and just being able to write down ideas. Like he has a yellow notepad on a couch outside of his shower because, you're in the shower and you're thinking about things, and then you get out and your mind starts going, the rest of the day. But, he writes those things down and doesn't miss it. And what he said is that, that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, that's what they do. They read a lot and they write a lot. Just writing ideas is such a good outlet for your creativity, and it kind of gives you hope and inspiration. Well, maybe I should follow that.
Yeah.
And the second thing that you touched on was self-assessment. And I loved how you ask yourself in the morning, how can I be a better version of myself? How can I do this better? How can I do that better? Because when we are looking at ourselves and honestly assessing ourselves, that's when we get those aha moments. That's when, like your friend says, he's cleaning that window, of what the rest of the day he's going to be looking through. And I want to encourage teens to look for free online self-assessment tools. There's a lot out there. GiveTeens20 website has one. We link to a Department of Labor assessment tool called My Next Move, and that's on our website. There's all kinds of assessment tools out there. It's good for you to know where your interests are. Because if you have an interest in something, you probably have a natural talent, which you can then turn into a strength. So I really want to encourage kids to know themselves through honest self-assessment, and then take the time to learn about different areas where maybe you have an interest or a strength.
Yeah, and I think too, I don't know if you're going to bring up passion, but I think the passion is something that, You know, some people don't have a passion. Some people have a passion. It could be a passion looking for frogs, or a passion of, counting rocks, or whatever your passion is. And it just might not make sense, but knowing something that stimulates you, something that gets you, excited. And to me, that is so important in life. And knowing what your why is, it's like, because when you lose your why, you lose your way. And knowing, like, I just, something that just, because the thing about it, like I said, it's the tangible things, and something that really, like I said, like you mentioned about writing, you mentioned about, when I read, and reading was something that I was definitely encouraged you to please read. And if you don't like reading long books, like, I'm a study reader. When I read, man, I make notes, and I read it over again, and I'm visualizing something in that story, whether it's me or it's someone else. And so, so I love people. I love learning about what other people, their manifesto, and what made them, you can learn from other people's struggles, and you can learn from other people's victories. And it's about, to me, life is like a buffet. It is a buffet. You go, it's, I want meat today. Tomorrow I want some bread, or whatever. It's like you pick and choose what in life, when you can. Sometimes there's some things that's going to happen that you can't choose. Sometimes some path's going to choose you. But when you can choose, it's like, I want to, this is what I want. And just really, I think just making sure that you are taking every opportunity to be the best version of yourself. And if you work on you, and work on trying to clean out the closet of your mind, like doing an assessment, like, what do I fear? And seriously, I'm a pretty even keel person. I forgive. I don't carry a lot of stuff around. So one of my friends wanted to go through this exercise with me. I said, no, I think I'm okay. He was like, no, just really think about inner resentment and fears. Like, I said, okay, whatever, I just do it. And as I sat there and think, I was like, all that. Before I knew it, because I had 7 or 8 things down, I was like, oh my goodness. And it scared me. Like, I didn't even realize those little things that hidden in the crevices of my mind, they build up. And that's what drags you down. That's what clogs up that clogs you up mentally. And it's just like, man. And so doing that exercise, he does it 2 or 3 times a day. I try to do it once a day, or every other day, but it cleans out, and it keep you clear, keep you light. It keep you light, because all those things add up, build up. Because at the end of the day, I have to protect the inner circle of the trueness of being. That's my joy. And I had a conversation about this with someone the other day, is that my joy is so important to me. And to me, that's equal peace. One of my old coaches that got let go, Joanne McCauley, and she said, I called, I said, you okay? She said, I'm good. She said, I'm at a place in my life where 5 years ago, I would have been tore up. But I'm at a place in my life of peace. Like, and it's a verse that we both love, John 14:27. The peace I give is not as the world give it. And she said, I'm at a place of peace, and none of that stuff matters. She said, I could see why. She coached me when I was young, right out of college. She said, I could see why there was something about you that was unique. It wasn't just a basketball. I know you played your butt off, you stood out. She said, but there was some kind of peace. There was something, you had like a halo over your head. You had this thing about you that you wouldn't bother too easy. You were just in this place where people want what you had. And she said, it took me all these years to get what you have. But she said, she said, I'm at a place of peace in spite of what happens around me. So protecting that inner circle of peace, and that's not let anyone disturb that joy, and whatever that takes. And me journaling, doing that inner assessment, and whatever it takes, exercise, whatever it takes for you to protect that, because it's more important than gold and rubies and diamonds in protecting your inner peace.
So let me ask you a question. You said that you do an exercise every day that kind of helps you get into the crevices of your mind and get rid of the bad stuff and kind of write down the good stuff and do something about it. What exactly is that exercise? Take me through the steps of that.
What I would do, I would say things that I fear. I would write down things that I resent. I resent, for example, I would resent, let me give an example of my life. I resent that if say if I didn't get accepted for a job. I resent not getting this job, whether it was coaching at this school. I resent that I didn't get this job. And then I I fear that by not getting that job, it's going to put me in financial hardship. So at least I expose that and I write it down. Then also I resent such and such. A person that called my friend, it took them a month to call me back. And I resent the fact that it took a month to call me back. Like, it really hurt. And I fear that may cause a little bit of wedge in our friendship. That may cause a distrust. And even though it seemed like nothing, I do that. And matter of fact, I discovered something the other day with a friend that and I had to address it because it was bothering me. Like, someone went a whole month and I had reached out to him. I'm like, what's the deal? And all they had to do, if something was going on, so but at least I dealt with it. I put closure to it and moved on. And so that exercise is crucial to realize, and it helps you stay true to yourself. And it helps you keep all those things. And so little things like, it could be something with, I fear. You could just stay on fear. I fear that, because from one resentment, you can feel different things. From this fear of not, this relationship, I fear, I resent my friend did this. I fear that it may put a wedge between my friendship. I feel that it may cause me to distrust other people. I fear it may put me in a bad mood where I don't like being in, sending me to a place that is not a good place. I don't like being mad. I don't like feeling, like I'm mad at the world, because that's not really my DNA. And then I may feel that I may start acting a certain way that might influence my children. I might get upset with them because I'm upset with something else. I'm thinking like, because matter of fact, I say I resent the fact that this happened to me because actually I was upset with them, and then I found myself yelling at my kids when they didn't deserve it. So it just sort of like, it's like a ripple effect and all these different things. So if you cut the cord, if you just cut the cord, clean it out, because you can't keep putting a Band-Aid on something. In fact, you got to really, you got to get rid of it. And so by getting rid of it is that you're just addressing it and you put closure to it. You put closure to that and you will just feel, that's what helps me. My family, I think I was doing it years ago without realizing it, because they call me nonchalant. They think that I'm like, I don't get overly excited about stuff, and I don't get too down. I have this inner processor that has helped me. And I shed tears. I've gone through some things where I have really shed tears because I know what unforgiveness would do. So I'm not saying it's easy to forgive somebody that does stuff, because forgiveness is one of the things a lot of people deal with, resentment that leads into unforgiveness. I've had to sit in one spot. I didn't leave a campus, since I would not leave this spot until I had forgiven that person. And I sat there and cried like a baby. But you know what? When I left, I felt like I was in charge. I was in control. Because guess what? If you don't deal with these little small things and they build up, then you will live a life of resentment, and you will give your power over to circumstances and people. They will control everything about you. I refuse to let someone control how my day gonna run. I don't care what you can't do enough for me to make me hate you, because I'm not gonna hate it because I know I can't get to heaven by hating. So I'm gonna process. If I have to cry, if I have to go run 5 miles, if I have to write about it, I'm gonna get past this. And that's how I deal with my stuff. And some things take longer than others. But if I get with one of my friends and I said, I know it's tough, I said, but when you do this is for you. It is gonna help you so that you don't hurt people. And when I would go to prisons and speak, and I would, speak to these guys and these women, I'm telling you, that is what it is. I've been hurt. I didn't deal with it, so I hurt somebody else, and that's why I'm here. So I let people know, hey, let's deal with the reality. Let's be transparent as much as we can, transparent and honest with ourselves. And if it needs to be with someone else, I don't mind being an open book. Hey, I'm in this thing to win it. I'm in this thing called life to win it. I don't want to just, be okay. I want to win this thing. And by win is being true to yourself and being honest, so that you can be light and you can feel and you can be a blessing to people, because people are watching you. And I know in my calling in my life, sometimes I may be the only book that somebody gets to read.
Absolutely. Okay. So now you've got 2 kids, 8 and 11, and we don't know what's happening with school in the fall. We don't know what's happening with a lot of different things. And all of these kids are feeling the stress and pressure, not only for their own lives, but, the people that they live with, their family, whatever. So what is it that gives you hope for the future, Ruthie, and where does that come from? Help these kids grab onto something, some enthusiasm, some encouragement. I don't know. What gives you hope?
You know, I feel like what gives me hope is that, you know, my daughter's name is Hope. And the acronym for hope when I had her was like holding on with purpose and enthusiasm. Holding on with purpose and enthusiasm. You got to know that let's cut back. Let's not look so far down. Forget trying to look 4 or 5 years down the road. I know I said small. Let's sometimes we have to pull it back in. How about just like, let me see how can I come out on the other side of this a better person? And what you do, you saw a small thing. What can I do? And it may be helping someone. Say, you know what? I've been wanting to volunteer. Maybe go volunteer at something helping someone. Maybe, you know, find something that you can do to help someone else. That's what I help. When I'm going through some tough times and I feel burdened, I feel heavy, you know what I do? I move myself out the way. I say, let me see what I can do for someone else. And it never fails. Being able to, one of the greatest exercises is being able to lift someone up. You know, from a way lifting someone up, encouraging someone. You know, I would say, I encourage people, I've said it before, write a letter. Most of the time now, we get a letter in the mail, we think, oh my God, what's happening? So we do texts, we do, you know, it's like, who write letters anymore? But do something else, step outside your comfort zone. You know, write a letter to someone that you might say, like, that would never expect it. That could be something that changed their life. That could be something that is a kickoff for them rewriting their story, you know. And so I think that, you know, during this time, just know that there is hope. There is something on the other side of this, and come out on the other side that's better, and do that assessment of your life and figure out, you know, if you like the draw. So, you know, I heard a lot of people say I've been wanting to do a book. And I said, you know what, do it. This is the time to do it. I'm working on a book with my 11 sisters. And then we talked about it real intensely about 3 months ago. And then I thought about, I said, you know what, when I'm just on this road trip, I did this at several functions. And I said, you know what, it's so crucial for us to do this. So I reached out to my sister today. I said, we got to jump back on this. I reached back out to my sister today and said, we got to do this. And so write a book. If you like poetry, start doing what you always sort of wanted to do, because this is the time. And that's pretty much, you know, obviously what I'm doing. I'm doing more writing. I'm thinking of more ways to be creative, you know, and financial aspect of my life. I want to be more ways. How can I impact the next generation more? I'm reaching out to reservations. I've been on a lot of Zoom. I've been on about 85, 90 Zooms during this pandemic. I'm still trying to be about my Father's business. I know my dad said, I want to wear out and not rust out. You know, I'd rather wear out and not rust out. Rust out means you're not doing anything. You're just sitting. And so I want to just be able to still, like, you know, in this thing called this big world, is to make it small and to do something where it can start with your own family. You know, start your own family. But there is hope. Keep hope. School might have been canceled, games might have been canceled, events, but hope is never canceled.
Absolutely. So just to sort of recap everything, the advice that you got from your dad when you were young is that you only need 3 things: faith, attitude, and hard work.
And that, yeah, with character. And character involves hard work, decisions you make. That's sort of your character is your, you know, that's determine your destiny. And I don't know if you've heard this, but I'm thinking you have. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your character. And your character determines your destiny. So your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character, and your character determines your destiny.
That's a good one. I like it.
So you kids out there, you young, what is your destiny? Where do you see yourself? Dream big. Reach out, dream big. Hope is there. This is your time. This is your season. This is your time to flourish, not just fly, but soar.
That's right. And the interesting thing that you just said, Ruthie, in addition to many things, was that it all starts with your thoughts.
Yes.
Their destiny, what they're going to do, what they're going to be going forward, it starts up here, and then it's what they do with it. So we want to encourage, both Ruthie and I want to encourage every young person out there that the next greatest thing hasn't even been invented yet. And why not you? Why not you
Exactly.
come up with it and invent it? You know, why not you being the next, you know, Olympic athlete? Why not you? So we want to encourage you to start with your thoughts, to get out and move your, get out, exercise, move, do some, good positive things for yourself.
Yes.
And then just, make it happen. You've got wonderful opportunities ahead of you, even though things look really berserk. You have wonderful opportunities ahead of you because there's a whole new way of life right now. And so the people who figure out what's the best way to have a big wedding within a pandemic, that person who figures that out is going to be amazing, and they're going to provide amazing things for the general population. The next person that figures out how to do whatever it is else that we need in this pandemic, it's amazing. You've got so much opportunity. So get out there and make us proud, right, Ruthie?
Make us proud. Yes, make us. Oh shoot, edit. Oh yeah, get out there and make us proud. Yeah, we're dependent on you. You matter. Let's leave your footprints. Where are you gonna leave your footprints in society? Yes, let's do it.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. And y'all take care. You can check us back out on GiveTeens20 or GT20.org. And Ruthie, give your website or whatever, Mighty Ruthie. You can just Google Mighty Ruthie, right?
Yes, Google Mighty Ruthie. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Ruthie Bolton, on LinkedIn, Mighty Ruthie Bolton. Hey, reach out to me. Let me know. Or you can go through. You can also send me messages too through your website too. Anybody got a message for me? They can send messages to you too. You can just relay them to me.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that too. But keep flexing to be the best version of yourself. Keep flexing. We love you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.